So hi everyone, I'm Justine Van Alst from Matisse. I'm representing the Icelandic partner of the MAKEIT project. We are really happy to have you here in this conference. So you're going to be with us for 1 hour and we're going to give you all the information of this famous project called MAKEIT and funded by EIT Food. We had the pleasure to work in collaboration with the Future Food Institute based in Italy to put everything together to have us presenting this project at the Maker Faire in Rome, virtually in Rome, 2020. So we have the pleasure to have different speakers for today and for as this conference. So we're going to have Shima Barakat, which is the PI of this project, and she's representing the University of Cambridge, and she's going to give you a little more information about that. Then we're going to talk to you a bit more about this EIT Food funded granting. And then we have going to have more information about what is a makerspace and how we did collaborate with them all around Europe and what it brings us to the project. Then we will have Curie Parks and Clemens presenting the MAKEIT Toolkit, because as part of this project was to develop some tools for us to implement, for us and you to implement a Makeathon in your own location. And then we're gonna make a call for future partnership and future collaboration. And we hope you are eager to know more about this project. And after this conference, we invite you to follow us in the booth of the Future Food Institute. So then you can meet some teams, and we have teams that won the Makeathon all around Europe, and they can tell you more about their own experience and what happened for them. And it's kind of a own networking platform for us to connect more and talk about the future. So with no further ado, I will leave Shima Barakat to say more about this project MAKEIT. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Thank you and welcome all. I have a set of slides to introduce you to our project that, as Justine says, while I might be presenting it to you right now, it is actually the efforts of 10 partners that are coming together. And what we're showcasing and introducing you today is really what we've been doing for the last 2 years, and also our vision and our plans for the future. So starting with who we are and what we've been doing, we've really started from the point of looking at where we are today. We're tackling these big issues, whether they're societal, environmental, economic. And the starting point really is, we got here by doing what we do. And therefore, if we want a different future, we need to do something different. And one of the perspectives that came out from there, and that comes kind of from my and many of the partners' backgrounds that come from the entrepreneurship space, is that people who do things differently from how they're always done, that are looking for disruptions and so on, tend to be in that kind of space of being innovative and entrepreneurial. And I thought I'd share with you this quote from the World Economic Forum about really the power and the impact of entrepreneurship as a force to do better, make better, all about recovery, making, change, empowerment. And so we thought, okay, innovators, entrepreneurs, that's the mindset we're in, because essentially to tackle those big problems, we need 3 things. We need new, agile, and inclusive innovation processes. We need to break away from how we've always done things. But also, we need to bring others with us. So it isn't only about a particular type of innovator or imagining the scientist as the inventor or the engineer as some Einstein-looking crazy guy with hair, but it's actually about engaging stakeholders and bringing more people into that process. It's also about going into different spaces that, again, it's not necessarily in a lab or a multinational. Innovation and entrepreneurship takes place in different spaces. And for those of you who are coming from the maker communities, this will start to resonate. And Leticia will tell you a lot more about the three factors, but definitely looking at different spaces and maker spaces being one of them. We also needed new channels and pathways. It wasn't you get an idea, you follow a straight line, you go into an incubator, you find an investor, and 3 years down the line, you might think about scaling. But actually, what have we got? How do we conceive, package, grow, support, and really actually along the lines, given that we are in the growth and food and planet debate, how do we fertilize these ideas? Who supports them? What are the ecosystems that are around them to give them energy, shape, and direction? For the last 2 years, we've been very specifically in the food sector, looking at the challenges that come around that and how, within the food sector, there's quite a widespread recognition. Thankfully, we don't have to make this argument, but it is a common understanding that we must move the food system towards a healthier, more sustainable one, because we cannot keep doing what we do to ourselves and the planet. And within that system, there are so many different issues to challenge. And it is those big, complex, difficult challenges within the food system that we wanted to take on. So we came at that with a set of core principles that we needed new mindsets. We wanted to build, encourage, and support new skills. We were definitely moving beyond consumerism. So this wasn't about creating incremental little innovations for new products for people to buy more things. We wanted to make a change in the way we produce, process, consume, dispose of food, how we live our lives, how we interact with our food and our planet. We were taking interest in those big questions I just outlined in the previous picture. And really, it's kind of answering the questions that matter to people. So again, back to, we were really looking at transforming the way we do things, disrupting our everyday practices, and solving problems that matter to people in Europe in the first instance, but also globally. And we're certainly pushing the global perspective now that we have created our path, our toolkit, our own measures of establishing our success and our track record. And the last one ties back to what I was just saying about inclusive innovation, is we also, it was very explicit that we were going to move beyond elevating, as in, we don't want to say that everybody has to innovate in the same way, that people had to look the same way, be the same way, tackle the same issues, build the same model. Sameness was a big no. What we wanted was diversity, big diversity, opening up and looking at finding new solutions to these problems that could help us take that step change. So MAKEIT has several very clear components. We deliver the Makeathons that some of you who already visited us on the booth will have heard of. It is our method of airing, challenging, and taking on the different challenges. Our Makeathons are geared towards specific food supply chains. We've developed a new understanding of Makeathons as an agile innovation process. So it isn't Makeathons for the sake of Makeathons, but actually how do Makeathons and our new method and toolkit allows us to have faster, cheaper, better innovations. And we have a toolkit, which you'll hear about shortly. And we have a training program to also pass on this knowledge and toolkit to others. We also have and build we have our own ecosystem, but we really are an ecosystem that connects ecosystems. Each of our partners has their own ecosystem around them, their own ways of growing their homegrown innovations, plugging them into their local, regional ecosystems with the mentors that are there, but also with the value that's created across the ecosystems and where we can share. And of course, now that we've gone into a digital world, that has opened up even more. Justine mentioned we are funded by EIT Food. So we've been funded by EIT Food for the last 2 years, and we've had a formal position within their entrepreneurship sector, but actually we are a grand challenge project, which means that we span the 4 areas. We have that education element, we've got clearly that innovation element, that's seeding and supporting of entrepreneurship, and very much also that outreach and openness to engage a broad sector of section of stakeholders and co-create together as we move forward, as well as sharing our methodology and toolkit. So MAKEIT has worked in a number of supply chains. We're really about connecting ecosystems and our toolkit to tackle those grand challenges, one transformative idea at a time. We've had 73 come through our Makeathons and our activities so far, and we're looking forward to how these evolve. And looking forward to all the new ideas that will come from the existing partnership, but also from the new partners that we have opened a call for on Thursday, and absolutely looking forward to welcoming as we launch from Europe out to the rest of the world. Thank you very much for listening to this introduction. I'm going to hand you over to Leticia, who's going to pick up some of our core messages and tell you more about how and why our project works. Leticia, they're all yours. You're on mute.
A classic. It cannot not happen once, at least in any Zoom call. So thank you very much, Shima, for handing on the baton and for the wonderful introduction. I just will pick up from where Shima has introduced everything, just in case also somebody has been joining us throughout this conference call. So I will try to share my screen, and let's see if I have the right thing going on. Am I sharing the right thing or not? What do you see?
We're seeing your desktop.
Oh, okay, never mind. And now?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet? It's terrible driving this, driving this thing. Okay. Oh, we go. It's all about technology management, as you probably know. So, thank you, Shima, very much. I'm gonna pick up from where she left, and actually we repeat a few things. But I wanted just to take the opportunity to explain a little bit what we thought with all the partners where we started the project, and a little bit of the concepts that go behind the idea. So MAKEIT is a project that has convened a number of resources and people around several concepts that are quite powerful, we think, in entrepreneurship and innovation. As Shima says, we have great problems, and it's well known that they're so big that nobody has the right answer on his own right. So we need to bring people together, and to do so, we need powerful tools that make innovation happen. So the first part of our toolkit basis, it revolves around this idea of makeathons. And Curie and Clemens later on will talk a lot about this toolkit, but the principle is based on open innovation. Nobody has a solution, so we had to create opportunities for people to generate ideas, as many ideas as possible, because as you probably know, and it's quite proven now, and this is one of the papers that inspired us, behind quantity, there is quality of ideas. So we wanted to leverage an innovation mechanism that created as many ideas as possible, because within that mass of ideas, some of these will be definitely more likely to be breakthroughs. The second part, and very important thing, is the title of this little bit of the talk, is the role of maker spaces. And you can see a picture here taken at our very first Makeathon, where we did the hackathon in a physical makerspace. And I know Jonathan Wall from Makerspace is here today. And the reason why we chose to do this in makerspaces are multiple, and I'm going to go through all of this. But you can see the buzz. It's although this year we had to move into a hybrid situation where we still leverage makerspaces in a non-physical way, so with the remote participation, what is embodied by maker spaces in the maker community is quite important for us. And these are actually, I think, the reasons why. So I've been working with colleagues on this phenomenon of making and maker spaces. And there are a number of tools and expertise that are available to use at any moment. So it doesn't really matter if somebody who participates in the hackathon or the makeathon doesn't have prior knowledge. It's not a barrier. The availability of opportunities of creating something is there just to tap into. The second part is the design thinking approach that allows people to be lean and agile, so that you can create, modify, scrap, remake, all at a very, very short time. And this is a wonderful thing that I've been seeing in action during the makeathons, and particularly the ones I've been part of, and all this kind of quick turnaround of ideas. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can try something. Is underpinned also by the culture. So in a maker space, you can try things, and nobody is there to say it's going to be the perfect one. There is a lot of encouragement, and that, I think, is a very strong background for a successful innovation generation, because success is secondary to the learning and trying. So this generosity, this sharing of skills and the process accumulates over time. And so whatever you're trying to do, there will be a first version of it. And that is the most important step to be taken to actually take the second step and the third step. If the first one is not taken at any point, there won't be a success. So in the end, the makerspaces enable a fast track to innovation process. So you just do a lot in a very condensed time, thanks to the skills, the design thinking approach, and the particular culture. There are obviously ideas that, because of this testing, become more feasible, more clear, and easy to transmit and communicate to others. And those engaging just don't stop there. Everything they learned in the process, thanks to makerspaces, can use these skills over and over again. And so makerspaces are the forefront of our concept of MAKEit, and the bed onto which we think the toolkit lays on. Then there is also something else that makerspaces allow us to do, is to create an open innovation community. So it's not just about the individuals, but we also had participation of experts from different communities and even professionals. So here you have experts in the food supply chains that have been part in various capacities as mentors or judges. Here we have a few judges to our first Makeathon from companies that are aware of the problems and they are interested in supporting this development. And so makerspaces help us opening the boundaries and connecting with a maker community, which is at the foundation of an open innovation idea. The third step, as Shima already talked about, is the fact that ideas after hackathon need to go somewhere. And so EIT Food has allowed us to take some of these ideas forward in many, many ways. And if you want to know more about EIT Food beyond what Shima explained earlier, there is also the link repeated here. But I don't want to take any more time because there is an important part of the outcome of the MAKEIT project that is going to be presented by Dr. Curie Park and Dr. Clemens Kaskel from IFM, as well from us in Cambridge. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have questions, maybe at the end we can have a quick discussion. Curie, Clemens, are you ready to explain what came out of the MAKEIT project?
Yeah.
Toolkit.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Leticia and Shima, for creating the expectation about the toolkit tools today. As a Makeathon lead, since last year, I had the privilege to observe and help our 10 European partners to organize and execute their Makeathons and observe and capture lessons from them. So far in 2019, we had 4 Makeathons, and this year we had 10 Makeathons. Our last one is actually taking place at this moment in Finland. So by capturing all these things and like learning what went well and what could improve and how different audience groups and how different challenges and how different background and challenges within the local industry, that really helped us to capture so much insights and the lessons. So based on that, working with the Clemens, we came up with a Makeathon manual. So how you can design and execute it, and the toolkit the easy to follow toolkit, you can actually do your own Makeathons for your own challenge. So like to begin with, what is the problem? So we can say, for the industry, it's hard to focus on the challenge. You know, we have so many different challenges in many different things, including COVID, and especially in this year, we are having such a big challenges and such a big uncertainty. So for us, it was actually the same. But COVID actually became a blessing in disguise because we could quickly convert our physical Makeathon formats, the virtual or the hybrid one, and that made us realize actually is the revolution of the new idea generation and the new innovation mechanism. So in any case, we all need companies and businesses, we all need new ideas. However, when you have challenges and difficult problems within the company, you tend to exhaust all the solutions within yourself. You know, you've tried this and you've tried that and still don't know. But so how can we get the fresh ideas? So that's where we are coming together for you. So, but when we have new ideas, these ideas need to be tested quickly and cheaply. It's better to be quicker so that we can fail or success quickly, and it's better not to invest just too much. So this is our solution we are providing. So our solution is easy and ready to use toolkits. It's a series of slide decks and the guidance, and we will provide two ways of engagement. One is through the training courses, where you will learn how to do and use these toolkits and the manual, or we will do it for you so that you don't have to worry too much about how to do it, because we will do it based on our experience. So by doing so, you will be creating a great sandpit to initiate innovation, which is rather entrepreneurial, meaning that you will bring individual innovators and enthusiasts who's got the passion, who's got the ideas, and you bring together and provide resources and let them explore their ideas and challenges, so that come up with something new and something that none of us has thought of before. And not only the innovation, but while you're making money by successfully doing your business, we want to say this will help you to make a positive change to the world. At the same time, while making money. And for the next, Clemens will continue to tell you more about what the MAKEIT Toolkit can offer you. Clemens?
Thank you, Curie. So when I started working with Curie on this one, I was in quite a unique position because I haven't seen this before. So for me, it was the first time to be exposed to this type of Makeathon. I've been in other Makeathons before, but this particular structure. And Curie said, Clemens, let's think about how we can make this available to everyone. Let's think about how we can somehow standardize it and bring it to a level where somebody can just come in, pick up the materials and start facilitating that. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been working with Curie to really get it to a point where, from my perspective, I would be able to pick it up and run it, which was a really interesting journey because there's so much out there. I mean, Curie worked on it for quite a long time and there's so much experience, and we condensed it down to essentially three things here. So first of all, there is a guide. How do you prepare for the Makeathon and what you actually need to do in the Makeathon to get the most out of it. For your delegates, they need to have fun, they need to enjoy it. This is where the performance comes from them. And then for your organization, so that you're really getting the benefit you were hoping for. So this A to Z guide, as we call it, right now is in a digital format, just getting the last bits of polishing. And then we'll be thinking about the best ways to distribute it. Sometimes text is the best one, but moving forward, video explanations, so on, should really become part of it. So it's an ongoing journey, but there will be something available for those who want to get started eagerly soon. Now, a manual is only as strong as the materials that come with it, because we want to not just have a manual and theorize about it, but we want to actually run the Makeathons. And that's why Curie and I worked through the materials that are available, restructured the presentation, thought about how can we best deal with the content that is already available, and most importantly, how can we make it easy to include the other external content from, for example, from external speakers. How can we somehow standardize this one? And that then ended up in a slightly rejigged structure for the 5 days, where we've got dedicated slide decks as well as dedicated delegate materials that the facilitator can essentially pick up, and other than modifying the name on the first page, start using right away, disseminate it to the delegates and jump right in. And that, together with the A to Z guide, makes it really easy for any organization to be successful with this one inside the firm. Particularly looking at some of Curie's early work about how do you actually plan this Makeathon. There's a lot of thoughts that go into that one, and that not only ensures the Makeathon runs smoothly, but that in advance the facilitator doesn't freak out and think this is too much for me, but there are really useful guidance in there. And this is linked very closely to the tips and case studies, because the team in front of you, they have run those Makeathons many times, and the lessons learned is something that we want to provide to any future delegates, sorry, not any future delegates, any future facilitator, to make sure that you don't have to fall into the same pitfalls like everyone else has, but really pick up on the current state of knowledge of how you make the most out of this Makeathon. Now, on the next slide, Curie, there are two ways in which this can really be achieved. There is the train-the-trainer program or a facilitated program. Now, that really depends on what the organization that you're working for, whether it's a private or public one, is after here. Some organizations say, you know, we're good at facilitating things. We love doing that ourselves. We just maybe want to tweak it a bit as well. Teach me how you do it. Provide me the knowledge I need to have to make all of this work. And we can obviously do this one in both online and virtual ways, working around the COVID constrictions here, and in the future, hopefully being on site again. And there's various ways in which we can coach you. Anything from just submitting the basic idea of how to use the manuals and the toolkit provided, to maybe teaming up on a Makeathon and running one together and then sending you off to run the next ones. This can be tailored. This can be really made to fit the skill of the facilitators that you have available. And then for those organizations who say, well, it's all nice and good, but honestly, we really don't want to spend the time or have the risk of running that ourselves. Obviously, we'd be more than happy to come in, work with you to not only scope it out, but to define it, to adapt it where necessary, and then to run this Makeathon on your behalf with the delegates that we are either selecting together or that you already have on the benches waiting to jump in there. And both have their merits. I'm obviously very keen on seeing this one out there. I mean, it's a great structure that these guys have come up with. So I'm really excited of bringing this one to the wider community in the next year. And Curie, on the next slide, just our contact details. So if this is something that excites you, where you say, the Makeathon, I always wanted a Makeathon, give it to me, then do feel free to contact either Curie or myself. We're in close touch anyway, so it doesn't matter who you contact. We liaise in the background. And even if you say, you know, we've done something similar, we've got some experiences we would like to share, then please also get in touch. We're very keen on this one. We'd love to talk about it with you, even if you have no immediate interest in working with it, because there's material there. You've got different experiences. Let's put them together. Let's benefit from this discussion. So please do get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Shiri, do we have time to get some questions?
At the booth, I think that's the idea,
Yes.
isn't it? To continue to join us to continue the discussion.
Okay, I think
So I think now it's Sarah. Right?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So we at the Future Food Institute, we are very honored now to take this torch, like it was an Olympic torch relay, and spread it around the world. So I want to give you just a glimpse of who we are. I'm the founder of the Future Food Institute, and our organization started 7 years ago. Really, the first event, the first thing that we organized was a hackathon, and it was one of the first food hackathon that we organized in Europe. And this was just the Kickstarter that at the end made us able to create an ecosystem that is a global ecosystem that is standing on 3 pillars. The first one is knowledge, education, research. The second is community, building a global community. And we do it through living labs, so physical spaces. And we really want to go back to the physical world, physical spaces where we host makers, food makers, industry that can come and use the space to prototype and validate without being afraid to fail, without being afraid to be judged, because makerspace are a space where you are free to prototype, and spaces where we host events, we host students, are really space that welcome cross-pollination, and those spaces actually are not just only in Italy, but we have a big one in Tokyo as well, and a brand new that is going to open right after Christmas also in Singapore. And then the third chapter, the third pillar of our ecosystem is focused on R&D. So supporting organizations, institutions, and industry now with the task force of young innovators that many times comes from those kind of experiences. So during these 7 years, actually, we created this global ecosystem. And this global ecosystem is sharing the similar values everywhere in the world. And I want to mention that because one of our most important values is related to the makers movement approach, to the making, the fact of prototyping, testing, iterating. And so when I got a call from Letizia, from Shima, and actually in these 2 years, we were following the journey you did with Makeathon, I was super surprised and happy and honored, because I said, okay, we would be more than glad to take this project and let's say do a little more and the next mile. So by the end of the year, we really would love to share all the prototypes, first of all, because this is a huge value that has been created. There are many prototypes, 73 projects that came to life through this journey that I think are valuable and needs to be listened, needs to be shown. I think that this 73 prototypes actually can be a source of inspiration for many other people within the food industry, that from this idea maybe can develop much more. So I invite you to go to the booth and to watch the projects and learn more about the prototypes that came to life. And not only spread the prototypes around, but also implement the toolkit. I think that it's amazing now to have one model to follow that has been prototyped, iterated, tested, and for sure can also help us in our living labs to organize more Makeathon and involving the broader community to really reboot the system as we imagine, because we all understood through the pandemic that we need really to design a more sustainable, inclusive, equitable, and simple food system and food chains. So this is actually what we are going to do together. And we are creating one unique repository that from, say, January 1st is going to host all the projects. And of course, we are going to open an open call for people that want to get in touch with the organizers and say the father and the mother of this amazing project, to take the toolkit and implement it and develop more ideas and help the industry to accelerate the change that is needed. This is what we want to do together. And I know that actually here there are also some of the inventors, some of the hackers, some of the innovators that were joining this journey. And so I think it's pretty cool to have the opportunity to meet them. And I invite you also in the booth really to get in touch with them after this conversation. Then I think that if there are questions, we are more than happy to listen and to take the question from the audience, because I see that there are almost 40 people here now.
Amazing. So I don't know if people can unmute themselves and ask questions, but you have all access to the chat. You can write your question and we can take the time to answer you.
And so Justine just also shared in the chat the link. And through this link, you can actually go in the booth and meet up the people, the innovators and the organizers of these hackathons, these Makeathons and the inventors of the projects.
Definitely.
The link, yes. So Justine is going to resend.
Resend the link, yes. No problem. Here you go.
I want to also give you a little bit the say a kind of a big picture of where we are. So we, with Shima and Letizia, we also hosted a press conference on Thursday. We decided actually to organize this gathering inside the Maker Faire, because we thought that was the best place actually to show such a project. Maker Faire is actually a global organization that started more than 20 years ago in the Bay Area, and now became a network of more than 200 Makers Faire around the world. The European edition is taking place in Rome and is one of the biggest in the world. And since the beginning of our organization of the Future Food Institute, we started really working a lot with this movement, because we saw that many of our principles were very much aligned. And overall, because anyway, when you think about people in food, they are makers. They are makers, because if you are producing food, you are a maker. You are doing, you are prototyping, you are doing, and the makers behind the scene, the one at the origin, are doing things with their hands. And the kitchen is a perfect fab lab. The kitchen has been probably the first fab lab that has been invented. So we thought that there were so many alignments, and we have been curating the food pavilion at the European Maker Faire for many years in the past, and also the New York edition and the San Francisco edition. And so when we heard about your project, we said the Maker Faire and the makers movement need to know about MAKEIT. And overall, this is the perfect place where we want that this project is going to be showcased. And being on this platform means being in the platform from now and the future. And so I think that it's good to be, say, in this kind of environment, in this kind of pavilion today. The food pavilion is not something that is including just our project, because there are many projects in the food pavilion, and those projects are coming from many diverse organizations. Some are European projects, some comes from national research centers, some other come from innovators that are applying every single year and actually are showcasing their prototypes in their booth, as well as we are doing. And the visitors of the Maker Faire are people coming from academics, people coming from industries, but also people that are part of this global community of the robotics, digital fabrication, fab labs, and so on. So I invite you also, if you have time, to go around and see, because there are many cool initiatives. And I think that also the food one is a pretty interesting pavilion with project that comes from organizations, not only from Italy, of course, but also from other European countries as well. So I think it's say a cool place where we can find like-minded people that can take inspiration from what we are doing as well.
So we don't have any question for now, but feel free. It's like an open space.
Can I have a question?
Yes. Go ahead.
Like when we first started, our perception is that food industry isn't very relevant or very close to makerspace community, and we are curious what this food pavilion is about. Whether you are making, you mentioned the kitchen is like the best or the first fab lab. Do you invent or make things like a food like itself, like a recipes, or does it relevant anything relevant to food industry? So it could be service, it could be some other products. Like how is it?
Let's say we try to keep the spectrum very broad, and we like to have say cross-pollinations between different sectors. So just to give you an idea, in the past we have been doing projects involving producers and big companies that are in the production field, thinking like Barilla, for example, if we think about a brand, and Tetra Pak. So a packaging producers working in an innovation challenge together with, say, a food producer, a CPG company. So we try, say, to keep the spectrum pretty broad. So we involve retailers, we involve logistic companies, we involve many different players from the food industry. Then the Living Labs. The Living Labs is actually like a fab lab where there are big food facilities also. So in our Living Lab, you find 3D printers, plotter, Arduino, any geeky things, plus a big fermentation lab. So you have any kind of tool that you can find in a place where they're doing food alchemy, let's say. So our Living Labs sometimes are pretty strange, because you can find from aquaponic, hydroponic, fishes, plants, but also kombucha and other crazy things that comes to life.
Right. It sounds like a battery made heaven. That's what we're doing, is so much like we have so much common space between the food innovation you've been doing and with the Makeathon's challenges we've been covering so far.
Yeah. And we look forward to learn more. Let's say, for sure, the first challenge is going to be to host some Makeathons in 2021 and try to tackle all the 8 chapters that you have been tackling this year. So I think that this is the starting point, and we really would love to spread more the concept that you have been creating. I think that the industry would benefit so much from that.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you have been standardizing a process for rapid prototyping. This is something that we have been doing. Of course, we organized hackathons, and in hackathons, we had also challenges. Like we have been organizing hackathons with FAO, with UNIDO, United Nations Agencies, organization that sometimes don't need a physical prototype, because the innovation is something that is more focused on social innovation solutions or policies and so on. But then when you need to prototype projects, if I'm thinking about upcycling food waste, this is a huge challenge. And we've been doing tons of hackathons focused on fighting food waste. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that there are tons of opportunities for any one of the chapters that you have been tackling in these years. So I think that finding a model can be also very useful for people that then have to grasp all the insights. So I think that you have been doing a huge work trying to, say, come up with something that is unifying also the output, because from the organizer perspective, it's interesting also to grasp values from the broader insights that you can collect if you organize multiple of these events.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So we have one question, Sarah, in the chat regarding the Living Labs. And it's from a colleague in Iceland.
Yeah. So you can find information on our Living Labs on our Future Food Network website. And we are almost ready to announce that makeit.futurefood.community. That is going to be the website where there's the Living Lab plus the MAKEIT community thing. So we're going to have everything. So all the projects that have been developed, plus the toolkit to download, I hope by the end of the year, and the call to candidate yourself in 2021. So we are more than happy to welcome you on the platform.
Perfect. Yeah, we just, as a reminder, we are looking for new partnership and to have you involved with us in 2021. So don't hesitate to contact us through the Future Food Institute, through Cambridge University. We have a website. We use the hashtag MAKEIT Food, so you can follow us on social media. Everything will come to life really soon. It's ongoing. So we would really love to have more Makeathon in 2021. So please share with us your interest and put the email address in the chat if you want to receive more information. We're really keen in doing that in the future. So we have a bit more time, a tiny bit, yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So if you have more questions, or if you want us to repeat some of the content because you just arrived, or we can do like a small summary of this conference also. So
and anyway, you can definitely come and visit us in 5 minutes in the booth, where we're going to share all the information and everything needed. So this is something that can follow up both today until 8 p.m. Central Europe time, 7 p.m. GMT, and tomorrow from, again, 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. So we're going to be there, happy to share all the information and to answer to your questions.
So I'm re-putting again the link into the chat for the one that would like to join us right after. So I'm going to repeat, but this session right after in the booth, it's going to be quite an event, because we have some of the winning teams from different Makeathon that come with us. They're going to share what they've done with us. So it's really exciting, and see that most of these teams are still working on their project. And it's really nice to see that maybe we shape the entrepreneurs of the future, and they are going really far. And it's exciting to see and to hear more about that. We have one comment. Thank you. Piotr. So please don't hesitate to know more. So you have all the link in the chat to join us right after in the booth, which is going to be in a few minutes.
And also we have published the video of the press conference in all our social media. So for sure, also during the press conference, many information has been shared. And also this video is going to be published right after. So in half an hour on all the different media. So of course, we are happy if you are going to share it because we want to really spread the word with the project and present the outcomes broadly in our communities.
Mm-hmm. And you can have a closer look also on this map that we have on our back with Sarah, and it's also on the website. So that's where you can see how European we were in 2020 and also 2019, and we would like to have more and more country and have a really bigger impact. And that's just the beginning. So yeah, have a look. There's really nice information, and it's a really lovely map that summarizes the work that we put into.
And for sure, one is gonna be in Japan pretty soon, because our colleagues in Japan already asked us to organize a Makeathon soon. So
amazing. So we're gonna be worldwide.
It's gonna be much bigger in 2021.
Yeah. And it's perfect. It's aligned with our goal. We need to make our food system more sustainable, and we need to have a new thinking. So that's the best way. A Makeathon is the best way to figure out how we can do more with less, because we need to feed the world in the future. So we need to be smarter in the way we do that.
Exactly. Good.
Shall we move across?
Yes.
And thank you, Francesco, for sharing the link to see also the press conference. And I invite you to go following the link.
The link is in the chat. We see you there. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to all our speakers, Laetitia, Curry, Shima, Clemens, and Sarah. And see you in a bit,
and
everyone.
Thank you. You have been
an
amazing team. Let me say that. I get to know you. And I think that the success of this project is because behind that, there were an amazing team, really passionate. And so thank you so much for putting together this project and working so hard in these 2 years. Thank you. Thank you.